माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव श्री राधे जय राधा माधव श्री राधे जय श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितां येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो ब्रह्मण्य देवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled Passing Away of Bhishma Dev, text number 24, which is on the board. Please repeat after me. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam. Kalevaram Yavad Idam Hinomyaham. Kalevaram Yavad Idam Hinomyaham. Prasannahasa runalochano lasan. Prasannahasa runalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam. Kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham. Prasannaha sarunalochano lasan. Mukham bhujo dhyana patas chaturbhujaha. Saha, he, Deva Devaha, the Supreme Lord of the Lords. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Pratikshatam, may kindly wait. Kalevaram, body. Yavat, as long as. Idam, this material body. Hinomi, may quit. Aham, I. Prasanna, cheerful. Hasa, smiling. Arunalochana, eyes red like the morning sun. Ullasat, beautifully decorated. Mukha ambujaha, the lotus flower of his face. Dhyana pathaha, in the path of my meditation. Chaturbhujaha, the four-handed form of Narayan, the worshipable deity of Bhishmadev. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautiful decorated lotus face, with eyes as red as the rising sun, is smiling, kindly await me at the moment when I quit this material body. Purport. Bhishma knew well that Lord Krishna is the original Narayana. His worshipable deity was the four-handed Narayan, but he knew that the four-handed Narayan is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. Indirectly, he desired Lord Krishna to manifest himself in his four-handed feature of Narayan. A Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. Although it was 100% certain that Bhishmadev was approaching Vaikuntha Dhama just after his leaving his material body, still as a humble Vaishnava, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord, for after quitting the present body, he might not be in a position to see the Lord anymore. A Vaishnava is not puffed up, although the Lord guarantees his pure devotee entrance into his abode. Here Bhishmadev says, as long as I do not quit this body, this means that the great general would quit the body by his own will. He was not being forced by the laws of nature. He was so powerful that he could stay in his body as long as he desired. He got this benediction from his father. He desired that the Lord stay before him in his four-handed Narayan feature so that he might concentrate upon him and thus be in trance in that meditation. Then his mind might be sanctified with thinking of the Lord. He did not mind, however, wherever he might go. A pure devotee is never very anxious to go back to Godhead or back to the kingdom of God. He entirely depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desires him to go to hell. The only desire that the pure devotee entertains is that he may always be in rapt attention with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. Regardless, Bhishmadev's wanting this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord and that he pass away thus. That is the highest ambition of a pure devotee. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate gurukripatamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Sadeva devo bhagavan pratikshataam kalevaram yavad idam hinomyaham prasannaha sarunalochano lasan mukham bhujodhyana patas chaturbhujaha. May my Lord, who is four-handed and whose beautiful decorated lotus face with eyes as red as the rising sun is smiling, kindly await me at the moment when I quit this material body. So, Bhishmadev, like his mother, Mother Ganga, Mother Ganga is Tripathagamini. She who flows through three paths. That means in Vaikuntha, that's the highest level. Some people say Swarga, Antariksha, space and earth. But Ganga has a transcendental aspect also. She flows in Vaikuntha from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And she's flowing in the heavenly planets also as the Akasha Ganga, the Milky Way. And she flows on earth also as the great holy river which flows in from Gangotri through Uttar Pradesh, through Bihar, and ending in West Bengal in the ocean, Ganga Sagar. So she has three-dimensional existences. Vaikuntha is completely transcendental. There are no modes of nature present there. And there she flows, and she washes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or the lords of Vaikuntha. That is Ganga, Tripathagamini, one who flows in three paths. So, just like the mother, so also the son, Bhishma, also has three levels of existences. He has a Vaikuntha form, in which he very much likes Krishna's form as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjun. He very much likes that form. And he also very much likes the Narayana form, the four-handed Narayan form of Krishna. So that is the level of the Vaikuntha dimension or the Vaikuntha level of Bhishmadev. But Bhishmadev also has a existence in the heavenly planets. That is his Deva form. And he also appears on earth as the great grandfather of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Not of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. He's the great grandfather of Bharatadesha, actually of the country named India. He's the great grandfather. Everyone calls him grandfather, Pitama, Pitama Bhishma. Though we're not directly his grandsons, but still, we call him grandfather Bhishma, like that. So he comes on earth as the great grandfather. So Bhishma's appearance on earth has a great history behind it. It is namely that in Devaloka, Bhishma is one of the 8 Vasus, and his name is Dyu Vasu. It happened that Prajapati Daksha, he gave his daughter Surabhi in marriage to Kashyapa Rishi. And Kashyap is one of the Prajapatis, I call Prajapatis, the progenitors of mankind. And especially, Kashyap had gotten many wives as daughters from Daksha, as wives, like Vinata. She's the mother of the birds, and also the mother of Garuda. Also, Kadru is one of the wives of Kashyapa, and she's also a daughter of Daksha, and she's the mother of the snakes and Anagas. Uh, it even says in the Mahabharata, including Anantasesh is a son of Kadru. Very interesting. Then also some of the wives of Kashyap, they are the mothers of the locusts, and also of course Diti and Aditi, the 2 great mothers, who are the mothers of the demons and the devas. So Daksha gave his daughter Surabhi in marriage to Kashyapa, and from Surabhi was born a daughter named Nandini. A very beautiful name, Nandini, one who is the cause of bliss, of ananda, one who is the cause of happiness. Is called Nandini. And Nandini was a Kamadhenu, a cow. She was born as a form of a cow, and she can fulfill all desires. So the cow is very much liked in Vedic culture, especially when we consider that whenever the Mother Earth is in trouble, she takes up her demigod form, her deva form, which is always a cow. So therefore, cows are very closely linked to the earth. Cows are little deities of the entire earth planet. So when you kill a cow, you are actually hurting your own Mother Earth. It is very important to know this, because each time she goes to Brahma and crying because there is some trouble on earth, she takes up her divine form, which is a cow.
So a person who is unconscious, or so many people kill easily.
Maybe questions after the class. So Nandini was a Kamadhenu, and she could fulfill all desires. And there was a great rishi named Vasishtha. Vasishtha is one of the direct sons of Brahma. I think Vasishtha was born from the thumb, isn't it? From Brahma. So Brahma is a personality who's full of creative power, and he did a lot of tapasya for that. He was born and he got the instruction: if you want to create, then perform tapasya. And he did great tapasya, he got tremendous power, and by that, from his limbs, he can create. Right? It's amazing. We can create anything from our limbs except for some dirt or something like that. But Brahma can create rishis like Vasishtha. From his heart, Brahma came. From his mind, the 4 Kumaras came. And as Vasishtha, he actually he became the priest of the Raghuvanshi. In Treta Yuga, he became the family priest of the household of Maharaja Dasharath. Actually, he didn't want to be a priest, because priesthood is not very much praised in the Vedic literature. Because by doing sacrifices, samskaras for others, you reduce your Brahma Tejas. Your spiritual power is reduced. Because taking some karma of your clients, your followers, when you do sacrifices. So this is meant by Vishwarup to the Devatas. He said that Purohiti, or being a family priest for others, is never glorified in Vedic literature. But you are such a great personalities, O Devatas, how can I deny your request? Therefore I accept. And the reason for that was that Indra was very proud, and he neglected bowing down to Brihaspati, who then disappeared from the royal assembly of the Devatas. So they needed another priest. You can see Vedic culture, nobody is without a guru in Vedic culture, right? Always there is somebody to guide you. Nobody just lives, oh, I am powerful enough to guide my own life. Nobody's like that. So everyone has a spiritual master. And Vasishtha, He didn't like to be any family priest, but then Brahma told him, my dear son, better take up this chance because in this dynasty, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will incarnate. Then you'll have a chance to directly serve him. And that was the reason Vasishtha, he said, okay, fine. And then Ramachandra appeared. And, and then he became the family priest. But guess, Vasishtha is such a great rishi. He lived from Treta Yuga completely up to Dwapara Yuga here. And what is it? Yes. He lived throughout Dwapara Yuga, such a great period of lifespan. And he was such a great rishi also that he inherited. He got the Kamadhenu was given to him for the supplies for his fire sacrifice because you need ghee, you need milk to cook charu. Charu is a sweet rice which you can offer in the fire, and ghee for that you need milk. But you get a good cow for that. Then Kamadhenu was given to him, and she was supplying whatever he needed. The Kamadhenu cannot just supply ghee and milk. If you stand at her and say, I'm very hungry, can you give me a full plate of Gujarati prasad? Then you get a good plate of nice Gujarati doklas and no, today I would like to have Punjabi. Then she will manifest, fried rotis with dal filled and paneer filled. She can supply any kind of food, anything. That is a Kamadhenu. Great. And she's worshipable by everyone. So Nandini was a favorite of Vasishtha, and in his ashram was not a small place. It was like, if you ever been to Mayapur, many huts were there, and many other rishis were living there also, in a forested area with beautiful birds and water flowing there, and flower gardens and fruit trees. That's how an ashram is, and it is inhabited by great personalities. Sometimes these rishis also have daughters and sons, so they're called rishi kanyas and rishi putras, and they just grow up there in such an environment. Meditation, yagyas, sacrifices, pujas, devatas. Sometimes they just come to enjoy being in that ashram. It's so nice. I remember studying in Mayapur. It was I was very happy to enter the Gurukul area next to the Goshala. Everything was very nicely decorated. You could sit somewhere in the shade and things like that. Very peaceful and sattvic life. So Nandini was also roaming around in that area of Vasishtha, being very happy, chewing grass, etc. And she was fearless and freely roaming there. And one day, the Vasus, they came to that forest. Vasus are a group of devatas. And they came to that forest just to have some picnic, some enjoyment. And the head of these 8 Vasus was Prithu Vasu. So, along with their wives, they came to enjoy that ashram. And one Vasu named Dew, his wife spotted this Nandini cow, Kamadhenu, and she noticed that she had amazingly beautiful signs. A cow has auspicious signs also, just like a human has. That means the udder is full, beautifully colored. The hoofs are also very nice. Generally, hoofs, they look gray, but they can actually polish the hoofs of a cow. If you ever done that, you'll see that the color of the hoof is orange saffron color of a cow, of these white Brahmin cows in India. It's very beautiful actually. And it's a split hoof. It's not like a horse's hoof. So they are only grayish because they always walk in the dirt. But their color is different. And she had beautiful horns. She was well fed. She was shiningly, beautifully white Kamadhenu. All auspicious signs. So Dew's wife, she told her husband that, see there is this Nandini, this Kamadhenu. Have you seen such a beautiful cow before? Dew replied that this cow belongs to Rishi Vasishtha, right? He's the owner of this ashram. And he said, this cow is so special. Anybody who drinks the milk of this Kamadhenu, he will live for 10,000 years without any old age and disease. And that struck the wife of Dew. And she told her husband, listen, I have a Sakhi, I have a friend on earth. So Vasishtha's ashram was not on the earth planet. It was, by the way, in Mount Meru, on the slopes of Mount Meru. Somewhere there his ashram was. So this is happening in the divine realm, in the heavenly planets, this history. I have a Sakhi, I have a friend on earth whose name is Jitavati, and she's the daughter of a Rajarsi, Ushinar. And I decided to have this cow and her calf for for her. I will give it to her so she can drink the milk of this Kamadhenu and become free from old age and disease. Please, let us take this Kamadhenu away. Take her for my sake. You should fulfill the desires of your wife. You know that? And moved by the words of his wife, in order to please her, Dew stole Vasishta's Kamadhenu, right? Rishi Vasishta's. He didn't even consider Vasishta's power, tapobal. Rishis, they curse if you dissatisfy them. Of course, the wife was so beautiful, so then he didn't consider all of that. And he also didn't consider what is right and what is wrong. He was stealing here from a Brahmin. Anyway, it happened. When Vasishtha returned from picking fruits and ingredients from the forest, and he placed everything in his hermit, in his hut, then he noticed that Kamdhenu is not around. Something is lacking. So he looked everywhere. He didn't see her. So he went out of search. Where is Kamadhenu? Where is Kamadhenu? But Kamadhenu Nandini was not there anymore. So he used his meditative power, his tapobal, and then he saw what happened. And he became furious. Rishis become furious. Then he cursed these Vasus for the act of stealing. My Kamadhenu, I curse you all to take birth on earth. It's a curse to take birth on earth, especially when you're a deva, when you're a divine personality. So now, the surprising thing is that Vasishta didn't need to go out to pick flowers and fruits for his yagyas. Kamdhenu could supply everything. But no, he still went. He was going the whole day, he was picking flowers and fruits from the forest and bringing them back to his hermit, to his ashram. Why is that? Why is that? He had a task. Yes, life of tapasya, of brahmacharya, of spiritual life is not just using all comforts, sitting at home looking at the screen. No, you come to the temple, though this comfort is available. Vasishtha didn't need to do anything. He could even manifest, Kamdhenu could manifest Brahmins from her own body, who would do the yagyas for Vasishtha. But still Vasishtha is doing all this physically, because by physically activity you become purified, right? Not by being lazy the whole day. So we should be conscious of that. Once I was in Odisha, and I was going for a temple yatra. I like to do that when I go to Bharatadesha. I always like to do temple yatras. Go from this temple to this temple and ask the priest about the greatness of the history. Something special happened here. And then you hear amazing, amazing stories, which you generally don't hear anywhere. And these stories are also not found in the Puranas. They're called Sthala Puranas. The special pastimes enacted after the Vedas were written, the Puranas were written, and then special pastimes enacted. So they are written down as chronicles of temples, like that. And still, things, amazing mystical things happen in Bharatadesha, in these temples. So I went to one Gurukul, and because I was hungry, and I asked the teacher, the acharya, okay, can I come for prasad here? And he looked at me and said, yes, no problem. So then I went there, and the little boys, the little Gurukulis were cooking the rotis and the sabjis, and I was sitting with them and taking prasad. Were very happy. And then later I saw that at the end of the prasad, there was no tap in the Gurukul. There was only a well, and they had to throw the bucket inside and then bring it up and then wash the dishes. So I said, Acharya, you don't have a tap? He said, listen, they are here in Gurukul to do some austerities, right? At least that much austerity they should do. Therefore, on purpose, I didn't put a tap there. You see? Of course, have some austerity. It purifies. Similarly, it's mentioned, it's very important in this, especially nowadays, with all the comforts of internet and all these computers and gadgets and gizmos, that we stick to the process which Prabhupada gave in the 60s and the 70s. Because he balanced out, in modern days, when that was modern, how much austerity is necessary to attain Krishna Prema, right? But if you're going to change all that, you put the bolt screws and change something there, you might end up ending nowhere, right? Not get the full fruit which the Acharya promised, Krishna Prema, going back to Godhead, like that. So some austerity is necessary, is needed. And I always propose that, all these screens should be taken out of the temples, and a board should be there with a Bleistift or chalks, and which would simply write nicely, because by writing Bhagavatam, by writing verses. You get purified. You memorize, you get purified during service, but everything is nowadays digital, right? So this is not in line with how Vasishtha was living. He was going out picking flowers and fruits as an austerity. Nandini could supply all that. No, he went out because he's a rishi. A rishi, they have to do tapasya. And it is part of Vedic life and also study. That study, if you are a brahmachari, it should come in 4 parts. Hearing from the guru, self-study, discussing with other brahmacharis, like classmates. And the 4th one is menial service. All 4 make your study complete. Anything lacking, you're not fully practicing your brahmacharya. Like that. That should be done. And so he came there and he realized that the Vasus had stolen his Kamadhenu, and instantly he cursed them to take birth on earth as humans. Humans who are just crawling over the earth. They can't fly, they can't change their shape, they have to toil for their food, they have to pay tax, they have to be protected, and still they're being stolen and things like that. So that's life on earth. So the Vasus heard about that they were being cursed by Vasishtha. So immediately they arrived there to pacify the rishi. With great humility, they said, please, it was just a joke. Like they say nowadays, it was just a joke, can't you? It's not very fair to joke with somebody who's very austere. He's very serious in his life. So Vasishtha said, okay, fine. You Vasus, you'll all be freed from the curse of becoming humans within 1 year. But this last one, this Dew who actually commit the act of theft, he will have to remain on earth for a long time. He cursed them like that. And, he also shall not have any children on earth, this Dew. But he will be pious and a knower of the Vedas, and he will be obedient to his father, but also he will have to remain a brahmachari. So what is brahmachari? One who does meditation and does Veda study and remains celibate. That's a brahmachari. These 3 qualities are mentioned there. So this happened. This is the history of the Vasus, how they got cursed to take birth on the earth planet. And meanwhile, there was a king named Raja Mahabhish of the Ikshvaku dynasty. And he was an incarnation of the ocean deity, Sagara. He's an incarnation of the ocean. And he had performed 1,000 Ashwamedha Yagyas, 1,000, and 100 Rajasuya Yagyas, and he had attained Svargaloka. And with the Devas, he went to worship Lord Brahma. The Devas do that. Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varun, they all go to Satyalok and worship Brahma. And Mahabhish also went there along with them. And there in the Brahma Sabha, in the assembly of Brahma, Ganga Devi also came to worship Brahma. And she was dressed in a beautiful white sari, shining like milk. And she's upfolded by herself also. And Ganga is often depicted as wearing white. But then, all of a sudden, the wind blew in Satyaloka and displaced her dress. So now for a goddess to see her in a not properly dressed form is a great act of shame. So all the devatas hang their head. But Mahabhisha was looking at her. Oh, how beautiful! And Ganga looked at him. How beautiful this Mahabhisha is. So in Satyaloka, there is no place for romance and exchanging eyes, like that. So that consciousness is for lower levels. It's for Swarga and lower on earth also, but not in Satyaloka. In Satyaloka, consciousness is very high, very, very high, almost Vaikuntha, that level. So there is no time for physical attraction and planning your Giriha ashram and things like that and falling in love. So Brahma became agitated and he cursed. Mahabhish, you, have you come here to worship me? You have lost your mind. So he awakened them with a curse. Because of this level of consciousness, you don't belong here. I'll curse you. You have to take birth on earth. And you, Ganga, you also play the same game. You also take birth on earth. And in this way, he awakened them from their illusion. And both was lost in consciousness. And he cursed them in being awakened. So, When Mahabhisha went on earth, he incarnated as Maharaja Shantanu. Maharaj Shantanu, and Shantanu was an incarnation of the ocean. And while Ganga was also going in her own way to the planet Earth by the curse of Brahma, the Vasus approached her. Said, Mother, please, please, please listen to us before you go. What do you want? He says that we have been cursed to take birth on earth, and since you're going, please, you be our mother, and you please drown us in your waters. We don't want to live as humans on earth, paying tax and looking at their ugly faces. Anyway, whatever reason it was. So you got cursed? Who cursed you? He said, actually they lied to Ganga. He said, you know what happened? It was not our fault. Rishi Vasishta, he was sitting in meditation, and doing his Gayatri in the evening, and we couldn't see him. It was too dark. So we stepped over him, and then he cursed us to take birth on earth. So they lied, actually. They hid the story of stealing the cow. That was the actual fault. Rishi Vasishta didn't curse them for stepping over them. So anyway, Ganga understood by her third eye. She has three eyes. Ganga has three eyes. She would understood, okay, these boys these devatas are pleading. Okay, fine. She said, okay, I will take you in my womb when you take birth on earth, and I will drown you in the waters. But you are 8 of you. I at least want to have one of you as my son, so that my marriage with Mahabhishak on earth as Shantanu will not be fruitless. So, okay, fine. This last one, Dew, he has to remain there on earth anyway, so let him be your child. And that is what happened. That now Madhvacharya, he mentions something here. He says that Dew was the one who inspired the other Vasus, the 7 Vasus, to commit this act of stealing of Vasishtha. So what happened also is that the other Vasus, they dropped their sin of stealing in this last Vasu, the Dew Vasu. And therefore Dew Vasu had to suffer the karma of all the other Vasus also, along with his own karma. That's why he ended up lying on a bed of arrows as Bhishma. It's amazing, Madhvacharya mentions that. So, Mahabhisha, as I mentioned, he was an incarnation of Sagara, and he's the natural husband of Mother Ganga. We know there is a great Ganga Sagar Mela festival yearly in Bengal, where the Ganga ends into the ocean. So there's a mixture of Ganga water with the ocean water. And Sagara, the ocean, is her natural husband on the earthly plane. Because in the Deva plane, her husband is who? In Devalok. Who is Ganga's husband? Anybody knows? Mahadev. She descends as Akasha Ganga on the head, on the locks of Mahadev. And they have beautiful pastimes. Mahadev is like dancing in ecstasy. Then Parvati comes around. Who's this? Release her. She doesn't like to have a co-wife. This is the pastime, at least. They say like that. So Shiva always has the Ganga from his locks, right? Because nobody could carry her weight when she was going down to earth to release the sons of, what's his name? Sagara Maharaj, yes, Sagara. They were cursed. They say they cursed. Well, it's their own fault that Kapila burned them. Kapila's anger, they say, Kapila Deva is a Muni, so he's Krishna, so why should he be angry? It was their own karma that they got burned to ashes. And for that, Bhagirath had to call Mother Ganga to release them from that sin. So that's Mahadev. And in the spiritual realm, Ganga is Charanamrita, direct Charanamrita of Lord Krishna. So she has 3 dimensional existences. So this Mahabhish, he came to earth and he became the son of Maharaj Pratipa, and his name was Shantanu. And when Shantanu met Ganga, he married her. But Ganga placed a condition to her marriage, that I will only marry you on one condition, is that I will obey you as a wife, but you should never question my deeds and never speak impolite towards me. Then I'm ready to marry you. And whether it's agreeable or disagreeable, never speak something unkind to me. If you agree with this condition, I will marry you. And Shantanu was very far out, this beautiful Devi. So felt it beautiful. So agreed, and with the conditions which Ganga put. And from their marriage, 7 children were born. And each time the newborn child, Ganga took in her hand went to the river and dropped that child in the river, and the child drowned to death. So when this happened, Shantanu was shocked, and also the entire royal household was shocked. What is this? Maharaj has brought in a Devi, but she's not acting like a Devi. What is happening here? So Maharaj Shantanu couldn't speak because he was under oath. So the second child was born, and again Ganga went to her river and dropped the child. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7 children were drowned into the river. But then Maharaja Shantanu could not anymore tolerate. His tolerance was finished, and he began the question, "What are you doing, O Ganga? You have drowned 7 of my sons. This one I will not allow to be drowned. What are you doing? Have you ever heard in history mother acting like this?" Whatever he said to her, questioning her for her deeds. Then Ganga started to explain Shantanu about the curse of Brahma upon them. Both Shantanu was cursed as Mahabhish, and I was also cursed because we were attracted in Satyaloka like that. So we had come down to earth. And there was a amount of time destined to live together as husband and wife, which has now been finished. And these children, they were the 8 Vasus who were being cursed. And I told the Vasus I would take the task upon me to become their mother and then liberate them immediately from the curse. So I wasn't killing the children, I was liberating from the curse. But this one, he has a long lifespan. I will take this one with me. And Shantanu was perplexed hearing all this, what's happening, being a simple human as he thought himself to be. And so many things are happening in Devalok. It's just like in our spiritual life, We are chanting Hare Krishna, so many obstructions come, so many things come. And we question, what is happening, what's happening? But so many things are being arranged and rearranged in higher dimensions for us, right? Sometimes a test, sometimes some bonus we get in our spiritual life. In this way, things are always happening there. And Maharaj Shantanu, very sadly, he returned to Hastinapur, his kingdom, and he was waiting year after year because Ganga had promised to raise the child. Now, if you are raised by Goddess Ganga herself, what kind of caliber you must have. And she promised also to return that child. The child was named Gange or Devavrat, and she would return him to Shantanu at the right time. So one time, Maharaj Shantanu was riding in his chariot along the banks of the Ganga, and to his great surprise, he saw what is happening to the water. The water was being, the flow of the water had reduced almost to nil, and the river was almost dry. So surprised, he looked around. What is the cause of this? There must be some kind of a dam or something, some obstruction. And as he looked, he saw a beautiful child, effulgent like a deva, and he was playing with bow and arrows. And this child was the same Devavrat. He was playing with bow and arrows, and with divine arrows, he was able to make a wall so that the water could not flow. Now, that science is not there on earth yet. We cannot make any walls, fences with arrows where water cannot flow, which stops the water to flow, right? So they didn't need big cement and big rocks to throw in the ocean to make a dam. They ask, hey, Devavrat, come here, make us a dam here. We'll put some dynamos and then we have our electricity, just by arrows. So, no, we need big, huge drag liners and cement and rocks to make a dam, because the pressure of water is tremendous. Huh? If you go to swim, you know already that even if you dive 2 or 3 meters, there's so much weight on your back. So anyway, these are divine arrows. And as he looked at the child smiled. He recognized, this is my father, and he disappeared. He used divine magic from Swarga and disappeared, called Antardhyan Shakti. But Maharaja Shantanu could not recognize because he had seen the child only just when he was born. And now he saw a beautiful boy. So he asked Ganga, you please tell me, show me the child. And then Ganga appeared again in a human form, and he introduced the Devavrat to his father. He said, listen, this is the same son as I promised I would raise him. I have raised him very carefully. And now I'm handing him over to you. And you know his qualities? He has studied all the Vedas with the Vedangas from Vasishtha. I brought him to Vasishtha as his teacher. So Vedangas are grammar, what is it, kalpa, rituals, vyakaran, the Vedangas are, anyway, the auxiliaries, without which you cannot actually understand fully the meaning of verses of the Vedas. He studied all of that from Parshuram. He learned the arts of Dhanurveda. All the weapons Parshuram has, he has given them to your Devavrata. So he's expert at military arts. And also this Devavrata, your son, has studied all knowledge from Shukracharya and also from Brihaspati. And therefore he's a favorite from both Asuras and Devatas, because Shukracharya is the Acharya of the Asuras and Brihaspati of the Devatas. So he's a favorite of both Devas and Asuras. And here, hand over, I have your son and I'm going, as he disappeared. So years passed by, and Maharaj Shantanu went to the bank of the Yamuna. And there he smelled an amazing, delicious smell. So he went smelling, where is the smell coming from? And he saw a beautiful damsel. Effulgent she was. And her name was Gandhavati. He says, very humble she was. She was crossing passengers from one side of the Yamuna river to the other side of the Yamuna river. And he went to her and said, who are you? She said, I'm the daughter of a fisherman. Actually, the Mahabharata mentions she's not direct daughter of a fisherman. She was born from the Devata named Vasu. That's not a long story. She's also named Yojana Gandha because her bodily fragrance extended up to 12.8 kilometers. You can smell her already. Amazing smell it was. So he was very much charmed by this girl. He fell in love with this girl, and he went to the father, to the fisherman, and said that, I want to have the hand of your daughter. So the fisherman said, yes, that is very nice, but I put one condition on this. Then you can marry her. Her son will become the next king. Okay? If you agree with this, then I agree. But Shantanu, he could not forget Bhishma, his best son, his dearmost son. How could he now take him off the position of the crown prince and put somebody else there who's not even born? Right? The son of Gandhavati. So he was very dejected and he went very sadly, went back to Hastinapur. But this divine beauty, he couldn't forget. So he was just sitting there as if, he's lost in consciousness, thinking of this Gandhavati. She's also named Satyavati. Later she's named Satyavati. Gandhavati at this moment her name is Gandhivati. And gradually he lost taste in governing his duties and things like that. He also lost taste for eating and he became thin and weak. And then, Devavrat couldn't tolerate it. He asked, Father, what happened to you? Why are you so unhappy and melancholy and sad? He said, my dear son, he made up an excuse. He said, I'm thinking, you're my only son. And human life is so weak. And you're a prince, you're a kshatriya. We have to protect, right? Our life is full of battles. What if you die? Then there's nobody in there anymore in the kingdom. So I'm very sad for that. But Devavrata is more intelligent than that. Nobody's in melancholy, doesn't wither his body because of this reason. So he went to the older minister and asked, what is wrong with my father? So the minister told him, listen, he goes to the Yamuna river and then he looks at a beautiful girl there. His name is Gandhavati. Her name is Gandhavati. He's fallen in love with her and he wants to marry her. So then what is the problem then? He's the emperor of the world. Is his palace small? So small that even a fisherman's girl, a little girl cannot live there? I said, no, that's not the case. But the fisherman has put a condition that the son of his daughter has to become the next king, you see. And your father doesn't want to do unjust to you. So he doesn't know what to do. Therefore he's in this condition. Oh, I see. So Bhishma, he called for senior kings, elderly kings. So let us go to this fisherman. So they went on the chariots and they arrived and the fisherman received him very well, the famous Bhishma, the famous Devavrata. And he said, why you deny to give your daughter to my father? You find the palace to be so small? So that's not the case. The fisherman said, I put the condition that my daughter's son should become the next king. And your father disagreed. So why you put this condition then? He said, listen, there is nothing worse in this world than a half-brother who's your rival. If your half-brother is a rival, especially in your royal household, that means he's not safe. He can be killed in any time, anyway, and especially you. If my grandson has a rival in you, then he will definitely lose it because not even asuras or the Gandharvas can fight with you. So that's the case. So I wanted to save my grandson. Rival means rival. Okay. So no rivaliteit, that rival in English. So ich kann auf Deutsch sprechen. So nobody can stand you, Bhishma. Therefore, to save my grandchild, I put the condition there. People said, okay, I agree. Good. I promise you solemnly, and all the kings are witness here, that your son will become the next king. I distantiate myself from the throne. I was shocked at this. He is declining the emperor's seat. He said, okay, that's nice. You're great. But you might promise this. What about your kids? What if they claim the seat? Right? Then the Mahabharata would start earlier, actually. Anyway, he said, your doubt is not invalid. So now I made the pledge. I will stay Naishtik Brahmacharya lifelong, will not marry, will never have any children, and still attain the supreme bliss by following my brahmacharya strictly. When he said that, everyone says, Bhishma, Bhishma, Bhishma. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And even from the heavenly planets, the rishis, the Gandharvas, the devatas were showering flowers at this terrible vow which Bhishma had made. So somebody, when I was in Mayapur Gurukul, asked this question, why is it terrible? We're all brahmacharis, why is it terrible? Good question, isn't it? Why is being a brahmachari so terrible? Anybody knows? Even the devatas told him, Bhishma, this one is Bhishma. He's terrible. Bhishma means like horrible, horrible. Why? Of course, if you're a brahmachari in ISKCON, is something else than being a brahmachari, in an imperial palace where the most beautiful women are walking around, where devatas visit, where there's all luxuries, everything, the best of the world is being served there all the time, and you are renounced. You control your senses, right? It's easy to control your senses as a brahmachari if the women around you are ugly like frogs. But if they are beautiful like devatas, it is very difficult. And that is the case. We are in Dwapara Yuga here, and Bhishma has taken this vow to remain a Naishtik brahmachari among all these beautiful women. So, in royal matters, he is Bhishma. Nobody could do this. So they all packed up, and he took this beautiful girl, and he handed her over to his father. And he said, Father, are you happy now? What did you do, my son? How did you get her? And he explained everything he did. What? You made this vow? And he was happy and sad at the same time. Sad because his son is now bereft of all those worldly pleasures. And at the same time, only such a son could do something like that. So he benedicted him. I give you the benediction of Ichha Mrityu. You will die. Mrityu will not come to you unless you allow her to come. Only by your orders, she can enter you. And then you might die at, whenever you like. I give you this benediction. And this is what's mentioned in this verse, Bhishma. So this is the Devata Bhishma, the level of the Deva, which you find in the Mahabharata. But Bhishma also has a Vaikuntha level, as I explained. And in that, he is one of the 12 Mahajanas. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, Balir, Vyasakir, Vayam. So Bhishma is also an eternal associate of Lord Krishna in the Vaikuntha planets, also in Golok. Specifically, here it mentions Narayana form. His Ishtadeva is Lord Narayana, the four-armed form. So, Srila Prabhupada, he equates Mahajanas, the 12 Mahajanas, with the level of Uttamadhikari. Okay? Uttamadhikari are people, are devotees, who can see Krishna in every atom and everyone's heart. That's the highest level. So, I am saying this, pure devotee is not enough. A pure devotee can be a Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari, as Prabhupada says in his words. Pure devotee can be first class, second class, third class. So pure devotee, that term has nothing to do with the levels of Bhakti Yoga. Anybody can be a pure devotee. But if you measure the advancement levels like Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, or simplified Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam, then the Mahajanas are equated by Prabhupada as Uttamadhikaris. So that means he's very advanced, this Bhishma. And in this verse we find his bhava, his internal, his heart. In the Mahabharata, you won't find it so clearly because it's on a Devata level. But as somebody comes down to this earth, when you become more and more conditioned, if you come from the spiritual world and you take up a human form, then all these other realms which are in between earth and Vaikuntha or Golok, where you're coming from, also they cover you. Different levels of coverings are there. So therefore, there is a Devata aspect also in us, and there is a human aspect in us, and there is also a Goloka aspect in us. Our Swarup, our spiritual form is from Goloka. It belongs there, not to this realm. There is also Deva realm in us. There is also intelligence realm. Satyaloka is pure intelligence. We have some intelligence. Whether we misuse it or not, we all have coverings of all these realms. And then you get your human existence. So, of the 4 months of the rainy season, there are two Ekadashis, Shayana Ekadashi and Utthana Ekadashi. And Shayana Ekadashi is generally the first Ekadashi which starts when the monsoon starts in Bharatadesha. And it says then that Lord Narayan goes to sleep. It's Shayana Ekadashi. He's going to sleep. You don't hear him snoring actually, by the way. When he wakes up on Utthana Ekadashi, that is the last Ekadashi of the 4 months. The Utthana Ekadashi is tomorrow. And that marks the first day of the last 5 days of Kartik month. And it's actually called Vishnu Panchak, those 5 days. But because Bhishma followed this vow of Vishnu Panchak, it's called Bhishma Panchaka. And at that time, at Utthana Ekadashi, means to wake up, it says Lord Narayan wakes up. Therefore, in Chaturmas, so many pujas, karma kandis don't do any pujas because the Lord is sleeping. How can he take your offerings? They think like that. It also says that on Utthana Ekadashi was the first time when Krishna, he started standing up. He was a baby, and then he starts to stand up. It was on Utthana Ekadashi. It says like that. So therefore, we have this, that's the greatness of Utthana Ekadashi. Now, the Bhishma followed this vrata, this austerity of fasting, the last 5 days of the Kartik Vrata. So now in the Mahatmya, there are several places, especially Padma Puran mentions this Bhishma Panchaka. There are also other Puranas which mention something about this Vrata. I think Skanda also mentions about this Vrata, Bhishma Panchaka. And when one fasts 5 days, starting from tomorrow, from Utthana Ekadashi till the end, that is Kartik Purnima, then one gets the benediction, the boon of the fruit of Chaturmasya, following the vow of 4 months of fasting. Chaturmasya fasting is, I think what is the first month is leafy vegetables, is it? Second month is milk. Then the third month is yogurt. And the last month is urad dal, isn't it? Something like that. So the reason is when it's a rainy season, a monsoon in Bharatadesha, generally then the roads become muddy. You can't travel, you can't walk even, no traveling is happening. Everyone stays at home and looks at the sky. It's all raining. 4 months, the sun is not seen. So the rishis then, because they were not traveling, they would do some extra austerity. And they would take, no urad dal doesn't mean you don't eat urad dal. You don't cook urad dal in the shape of dal. You can make vadas and things like that. That's not part of doesn't break the vrat like that. So they do this austerity. So if you want to have the fruit of Chaturmasi, you can follow Bhishma Panchak. Also, if you follow Kartik Vrat, which is a separate vrat, the last month vrat of offering lamps, you made some mistakes, then following Bhishma Panchaka, you can get the fruit of that also. It fulfills all desires if you strictly follow it, both material and spiritual, but it has to be in a holy place. If you follow it strictly, then it can fulfill your material desires and also your spiritual desires. Even your Swarup can be obtained by following Bhishma Panchaka. That's what the Mahatmya says. So, in this vrat, the Utthana Ekadashi has to be strictly followed, which means nirjala, without water. So, along with that, you have to use Panchagavya, 5 products of the cow, which is cow dung, cow urine, ghee, yogurt and milk. These are 5 products which you get from the cow. And the rules for that, you can find it actually in the Mahatmya. If you go for Desire Tree, ISKCON Desire Tree has the manual for this vrat, because some devotees have done it in ISKCON already. And what you have to do before sunrise, because the vrat starts at sunrise on Ekadashi, then you have before sunrise you eat some cow dung. You can take some water also, because the rest of the Ekadashi day you have to fast from water, nirjala. That's the Bhishma Panchaka. It's not very easy though, for those who don't have a strong body.
On the Ekadashi days, no
Then the other days, you eat only, you drink a little cow urine, and that's it. And the rest of the day, you can drink as much water as you like, as needed. The third, like that, third day I think is yogurt, and then it's milk, and then ghee and things like that. You can find the actual rules for that. And then, then you break the Ekadashi and you feed the Brahmins, give them donations, like with every vrat. I heard here you have done it already, isn't it? In Köln. Some devotees have done this. No? You were mentioning me last night.
I only said some Russians we make that sort of things, five sort of
Panchagavya. Okay. Are you not mixing it with Panchamrit? Are you not confusing it with Panchamrita? Okay. So this is coming from the Bhishma Panchaka. If you cannot do that, it is not that there is terror in your life. You can still do a Bhishma Panchaka without Panchagavya. You can just eat fruits and nuts, just like you do Ekadashi 5 days. But within that, you have to worship Lord Krishna every day. And there are different things you have to offer, like garlands, even bay leaves you can offer to the, and some itar. Itar is fragrant incense to his navel. So these are some rules, and you worship Krishna 5 days, and you get the benediction. For those who are into vratas, you can do this one. But, I'm a person who has a very weak body. My nakshatra is also causing that we have very great difficulty in fasting. But I know some devotees who can fast, they do like practically all Ekadashis nirjala. Great if you have this power, if you have this energy. So that's the Bhishma Panchaka, and it has a great merit. Bhishma did that, and especially it is supportive of our aspirations to attain the spiritual form which we have. It can fulfill even, so you can attain Krishna Prema by that. So that's a nice thing of the Bhishma Panchaka. And we can see here, we have heard about Bhishma, what kind of personality he is. There are even more greater things mentioned in the Mahabharata. Is that Bhishma, he even defeated his own guru, Parashuram, in battle. Because he's a brahmachari, right? So Parashuram is also a brahmachari, but Bhishma is very, very special in this. Along in this Bhishma Panchaka Vrat, one has to take bath twice a day, once before the Brahma Muhurta, and then at noon also one has to take bath and offer prayers to the Lord and worship Him like in most of the vratas are there. There are several rules. Also strictness is there. You can follow also only Panchagavya. Then you take, some cooked food or raw food and things like that. Also, some devotees have followed this. I remember in Mayapur, and they were after eating Havishanna also. Now, what is Havisha? Havisha is the same food the gopis ate during the Katyayani Vrat. Because after Kartik, that Vrat starts. I'm not sure if you are conscious of that, Katyayani Vrat, which means that you 30 days you worship Durga. Okay, at least Bhadra Kali, but we say Durga, Bhavani. And she will grant you Krishna in 30 days. If you do it properly. That means take a cold bath and eating only once a day, Havisha. And as Prabhu mentioned, there is not even ghee and salt in it. It's cooked rice and dal together. So one devotee in Mayapur wanted to do this, and he ordered his disciples to find out how you make Havisha. And he did it actually. So that's also great merit if you do Katyayani Vrat. For the same purpose, for attaining Krishna Prema. And Bhishma Panchaka can also be used for that. So it's almost time. I'll end here. Any questions or comments?
The same question that I asked about the cow.
What is your question?
You mentioned that the cow killing is not good as a sinful activity or something.
No, I didn't say that. I said it in other words. I mentioned that the cow is the deity of earth, Bhumi. Bhumi is earth, Mother Earth. And she has a form, a devata form, a deity form, and that's cow. That's the cow. Because each time she goes to Brahma with tears in her eyes because the demons are burdening her, she takes up her original form, the cow form. That's what I mentioned. So cows are connected to earth as Mother Earth. So killing a cow is like killing Mother Earth. The earth is being harmed by that. It also explains what Prabhupada sometimes says, we don't know how, but there is a link by pleasing cows, your your um, your food resources will increase, your harvest will increase. Oh, that's how it is. Cow is the deity of earth. And she's the perfect fertilizer for your ground also. Like that. That's what I mentioned, the connection there. But actually, for ISKCON devotees, killing any animal is sinful. But specifically because the cow is the deity of earth, the earth planet. Therefore, it's very special there. That's what I mentioned.
Cocaine, I've said cocaine is a person who is in consciousness, is obstacle, but the person who are into the out of the other ways, they feel easily border to kill.
See, not knowing is not an excuse. You find that cow killers, they also suffer wars, diseases. Why is that? Because they are committing. Unless they know that there is something like karma and accept it and live according to the rules, there will be no peace in society of humans. You create disturbance in other societies who haven't harmed you, animal society, the reaction will come to human society also. Nature works like that. There is always balance. There's always ecological balances and things like that. You disturb that society, you'll be getting a reaction back. Like that. Yes.
And what's about the Muslims who don't eat the pig, but they eat only the cow?
It's not, you see, it has been a great discussion as I've heard from a professor. His name is, his professor name is Akif Manaf Jabir, and his initiated name is Airavata. He's a professor from, I think from Iran, I think he is. And he mentioned, see, I haven't studied those books, I just quote him. He mentions that he went into debate with Muslims saying that where does it say cow eating is good in Islam? So I just there, and he was looking, and couldn't find it. See? What it actually said is what they are saying. In the Quran it says, it is better to kill one big animal than many, many small. And then the Muslim said, in India, a cow is a big animal, so therefore they kill. But it's not the religion to kill the cow. It's only politics who causes all this struggle. As a matter of fact, the first Sultan of Bharata, the Sultan-e-Hind Akbar, he prohibited cow killing in his empire. Why? He saw, if we kill cows, agriculture will fail. And India will lose all its wealth, because it's coming from agriculture. There were no factories at that time. Akbar means, let me see, 1100 years ago. So it's like, no, Akbar is not that, no, that's not that far. Akbar met Jiva Goswami, so it's like 500 years ago. Akbar's kingdom, cow killing was prohibited. He was intelligent enough to see cows and land are connected. So if you kill the cow, there's no fertilizing, and all these things will all crash. So these things only came up because of politics, but it's not in anybody's religion to kill animals. I mean, even Jesus, he was preaching that these animals which are killed in temples should be thrown out, release them, right? Like that. And there's always restrictions of killing. In every religion there is a restriction of killing. So that means it's for those who are too stupid to control their senses that they want to kill, right? It's not just the cow, any animal. Even this halal ritual he was mentioning, this Aravat Prabhu, is that the rule of halal means offering an animal is like you have to look in the eye of the goat. When you cut the throat, you have to keep looking, and then you see the last tears coming from his eyes. That is meant to make your heart soft, but you give it up. And the rule for halal also is, after you have slaughtered the animal, you have to divide its bodily parts of flesh and distribute it. Only a little piece you can take, I think 1/10 of it. Right? So if you think about it, people are not following their own rules. Right? This is what he says. I was saying like that in a seminar in Mayapur. So I think he's an authority because he's a PhD he has in his own studies. So like that.
But it is said in Quran that it is better to kill one big animal than many small.
We can understand what the religion came into existence in Middle East in desert. So that was the big animal. It's a camel, like that. So when they started spreading here and there, then they started doing other animals and things like that. So that's what I would derive from what I learned from Airavata, like that. Anything else? Okay, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Bhishma Panchak ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.